we've got a full agenda today. So I'd like to, Father Wright, would you mind leading us in prayer?
Sure. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this great day. We give you thanks for the blessings that we always enjoy. We ask you to give us your guidance as we continue to work to build our community. And may we always do everything we do for your sake and for your glory. We ask this through Christ our Lord.
Amen. Okay, do we have any new people here today?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Reckers. I'm running for Kenton County Commissioner for the 3rd District. So I just wanted to come check out the Business Association and...
Thanks for coming to Latonia. We appreciate it. Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, come on.
Hi, I'm Erin Preston. I work for Brent Cooper at the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce.
And we're glad to have you. Thanks for coming. Mitchell, membership.
Currently, we have 52 paid members.
Okay. And for Latonia today, Billy, would you mind stepping up?
First time you've talked in the meeting. I'm coming.
Okay, lots to report. Eagle Project for the Little Libraries is going really well. I've talked about this for the last 4 months, but it will be finished. The first one by October 1st. He's built 5 of them total. Our first install for the Eagle Scout, his name is Cole Patterson, if you've not heard the story. He's a Latonia student, and then also he's pursuing the Scout ranking. He has chosen the Covington Yard or the Train Museum as his first install. So we are going to be doing a grand opening of his first project, and you'll hear more about that soon. We're just waiting on a date. But the LBA has supported his initiative and basically provide seed funding. So that is going, I think, fairly smoothly. He has really taken an interest in the history piece too, and put together a document of most of our landmarks, which is pretty exciting. We are going to ask him after we do the grand opening to come back and share his presentation. So stay tuned with that. We have the block party, which you'll find more information. April will be announcing, I'm sure, Tom. Flyers are on the table. There's also quarter auction information from Lori on the table. Behringer Crawford information. I think there's lots on the table, so do definitely stay tuned. Also on Facebook and Instagram, if you've not followed our social media handles, please do. Latonia was hopping this weekend. I was so proud. We had lines out the door. I know personally at the Roost we saw over 600 people. We served over 1,000 people total that day because we were also part of Fresh Art, which if you've never been a part of that, it's at Behringer Crawford Museum. It's one of their major fundraisers for their educational programming for elementary and primary. And just in general, if you've never had time to or make time to go to Duvu Park, Northern Kentucky has an exceptional asset as far as conserving our history. And so please make an effort to go to Duvu and go see the museum. It's pretty incredible. They also are working on the sports as far as acknowledging Northern Kentucky athletics, and whether it's in high school or also like amateurs. So you can definitely see that. I think that's it. And Pat O'Donnell's so great. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. I appreciate that. The last comment, too, was nice. Thank you. One more thing just about Latonia. I know Billy was really excited about what's going on and all the people that are coming to Latonia now. And one of the things that I go to Holy Cross Church, one of the things that I noticed over the last month or so, the bakery never used to be open on Sundays, and it is open now on Sundays. Because after church were let out, people would go to the bakery, pull on the door, and nothing was there. But the bakery is open on Sundays now after church, so people can stop up there. So now for our 5-minute highlight speaker, we've got the Halloween block party. Tom, April, either or, both?
I'll hit the highlights.
Why don't you hit the highlights?
We'll fill in. October 18th, this year's block party, we're right across the street. We're going to have the normal stuff, Pat will be cooking hot dogs, which is always a treat to watch.
Thank you.
Both Pats, actually.
Please?
Both Pats.
Well, that's what we got.
He can't do that. His wrist messed up, so.
He'll help. We'll find a way.
He'll be there. We'll have the candy line as we used to do, we always have. The carriage ride, we're gonna have. A Halloween contest, we'll have that. Zuma ladies, we're coming. In fact, I've been told that they're going to have some new routines. They're working on some new routines this year. So that's always kind of fun. And then the Latonia Baptist Church is going to have that little carnival. They put that on the side. So that'll be there again this year as well. Again, it's a free event, and anything donations we can get are much appreciated. That's how we survive this thing. So April, do you want to take the rest of it?
So we have, year after year, been the largest Halloween party that the city of Covington has organized or put together with it, going through with it. This is not a city of Covington event, though. This is a Latonia event. We put it on, and there are a group of roughly, 5 of us that get together and organize and plan this event every year. I know I've been a part of it for the last 18 years. Tom, I think you're 15, 16 in, something like that. And then everyone is like going through, kind of coming in, going through with this. So we love any kind of donation. If you can't make donations, volunteer. This is completely all a volunteer and donation event for us to do a free event, free safe event for the kids in our community and throughout Covington and any of our surrounding areas. You'll have a little paper on your desk that Pat had actually printed out that we had emailed over to him. If you did not receive an email yet, please feel free to reach out to me and we'll send one over to you. They're still going out. There's actually mail invitations as well. It's got my email address and my phone number on there. Feel free to reach out to me if you would like to donate, volunteer, or just be part of this event with us this year. We would love all of you to kind of come in with us. And also we want to thank our speaker for offering and giving us a donation today. So thank you very much for donating for our event.
Thanks, Brent.
If you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to me. We do have flyers to be put up throughout the community. If you guys need some, we've got some back here. We also have some smaller ones also that are on your desk that you guys can reach out for us for either one.
Now, if you've got groups that want to put up a booth and stop in and see, you can do that. Again, everything we do is free. I know we've had, over the past, we've had people that wanted to come up and sell things like that. We haven't let them do that at all. Everything to do is free. So, if you've got a business or a neighborhood group that wants to get together and do that and give out water or something like that, it's more than welcome. And believe me, it's one of the neatest things when you see all the people come about 2 o'clock and everybody's getting off the buses and everything, and people and the kids are really lighting up. It's just a lot of fun. So, are you going to be a judge again, Downing, this year, huh?
I'm going to be in town, so I told you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he said he's going to be in town.
Okay. I know. He won't be there. He'll cancel. That's all right.
We had the mayor. He was our
Yes,
judge
we had the
last
mayor. So, but it's really a neat event. That's one of our signature, I think, events that everybody looks forward to it. And it's not just the Latonia kids that come here. That people come from everywhere. So.
And you are welcome to put up the booths and things.
Right.
The only question, or the only thing we do request is that nothing is being sold. And let me tell you, when you buy candy to hand out at your particular booth and you think you have enough, buy 2 times more of what you bought. We see every bit of roughly around 1,500 kids, 15 to 2,000 kids coming in. We hand out 1,000 hot dogs without a question going through by itself, and not everybody's eating a hot dog. So if that tells you where we're at as far as the crowd coming in over that 3-hour period of time.
That's what we do, is just pray for good weather. Okay, so got everything else taken care of there. Let's move on to our guest speaker. Brent Cooper previously served twice as interim president of the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce before being named president and CEO in August of 2017. Brent founded Covington-based C-Forward Information Technologies in 1999 and turned it into one of the leading IT companies in the region. This year, C-Forward is celebrating its 26th year of providing IT services to its clients. As president of the Chamber, Brent continues to own C-Forward, but has turned over the day-to-day operation to his management team. Brent is a graduate of Leadership Northern Kentucky, class of 2005. Leadership Cincinnati, class of 2016, and currently serves on a number of boards, including the Kentucky State Chamber Board, Baptist Health Board, and Northern Kentucky University Foundation Board. Brent is a UK graduate. He has over 25 years of experience as an entrepreneur and business owner. Brent's very active in the promotion of the Northern Kentucky area and is a highly successful leader for the Northern Kentucky region. It is my pleasure to present the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce President and CEO, Brent Cooper, to Latonia. Thanks, Brent.
Thanks a lot for having me back. Some of you may not know, I was supposed to do this a month ago or so, and the governor called. Louisville, Lexington, Northern Kentucky Chamber Presidents, we meet with the governor 4 times a year, and that was the day. We never know exactly when it's going to happen, but so thanks for allowing me to reschedule and come back. I'm going to talk a little bit about the chamber just briefly, but really this is a regional update. That was what I was asked to do, so I've kind of put together a lot of great things that are happening in the region. There are a lot of great things happening, but I also threw in there some things that we've got challenges, some things to work on together. So I put that in there as well, just to get conversation going and just kind of give you a status update from my perspective of where we are. If you like this presentation, my email address is bcooper@nkychamber.com. If you don't like it, Erin Preston's is epreston@nkychamber.com. She said she works for me. I really work for her is the truth of the matter. I always lead off with the mission of the chamber, the why we exist in the first place, to promote and support the development of strong businesses and a vibrant economy in Northern Kentucky. And if we do it right, it results in a better quality of life for all. This was a much debated mission over the years and discussed, and we're really proud of what we're trying to accomplish in Northern Kentucky. We lead, we connect, and we advocate. We now have 1,750 members, actually 1,752 to be exact, as of last week. That puts us as the second largest chamber in the Commonwealth, which we're really proud of. Most of our members are small businesses. I myself am a small business owner and can speak to entrepreneurs and founders because I lived it too, and I grew my business up through the chamber. And now I can tell you, I can't tell you that I own a business anymore because technically, while I'm CEO, we sold it last year to the employees via an employee stock option purchase, or ESOP. So now we're employee owned. And that's what Ken Lewis at New Riff did when he sold the Party Source, and some of my friends in Covington that came out of the E-Zone and the entrepreneur effort. We're now selling our businesses back to the employees, so we're really, really proud of that. Over 900 of our members have 10 employees or less, and so there are 14 small business owners on the board. Part of why I put this up here is a lot of people don't really, I think, know who our Chamber of Commerce is today versus where we were years ago. And so we've been very intentional about making sure that our leadership roles, our committees, everything reflects the business community that we serve. And this is our kind of a snapshot. I realize you may not be able to see all of this, but we literally have big businesses and small businesses in all of the major growth areas in Northern Kentucky, whether that's manufacturing, logistics, health sciences, IT, finance, construction. We've got them all represented. It's in our bylaws that we have people from Boone, Kenton, and Campbell. In the late 60s, when the chambers all came together, there was one in Boone, Kenton, Campbell, and Covington. And so in our bylaws, it says you got to have people represented from all of those different areas. And so again, big business, small business, all aspects of the community. And we do a whole bunch of things. We did 130 events last year. We do a whole bunch of programming, a lot of advocacy work, a lot of these kinds of things where we're out in the community talking about what's happening. But we also offer a lot of benefits to our members. One of those is our insurance program. Hundreds of our members are a part of this. And so people save a ton on their health insurance, for example. It's one of the best benefits that we have at the chamber. But there's all kinds of other things, including everything from trips to office products to discounts on things throughout the community. So those are what we call our affinity programs. But a lot of our members are members just because of those benefits sometimes and the collective buying power that we have. Our chamber's made up of 1,100 unique volunteers. So if you show up at a Women's Initiative committee meeting or an Eggs and Issues committee meeting as well, you only get counted once in that number, even though you may be on multiple committees. That's how many volunteers we have that are active at the chamber. So it really is a huge endeavor. that we're really proud of. And by the way, that's your mayor right there on the bottom center from when he spoke with the mayor of Cincinnati this year. I will say your mayor has been ever present and has been an excellent representative. And he just got recognized as one of our leaders of distinction at our leadership event. What was your leadership class? 2000. So just a few minutes ago. But really has been just a wonderful mayor for our community. These are some of the various community partners that we have. I often say our Chamber of Commerce does nothing. We convene, we collaborate, we bring people together. Our partners do most of the work. We're there to help advise and guide and advocate and communicate. And that's our role. Our main three partners really that we see the most often are economic development, tourism, and our 1NKY Regional Alliance. This is a picture. Last time I spoke here, I wasn't able to pull the slide up, so I wanted to make sure I showed this. This is how I view Northern Kentucky. Northern Kentucky is 37 cities spanned across 3 counties. That's what I refer to as the Northern Kentucky Metro. There's a Louisville Metro, there's a Lexington Metro. Those are official metros. This is an unofficial metro, but it's a metro nonetheless. And so I just wanted you to see, this is Boone County, this is Kenton, and that's Campbell. The blue line is Lexington, Fayette County. I superimposed it over Boone, Kenton, and Campbell so people could kind of see that we're not one city, we're not one official metro, but if we were, we would be the second largest in the state. And that was the reasoning behind our Chamber of Commerce in the first place, was the various business leaders felt like if we could communicate with one voice the issues of the business as a region, that there would be, that would help our advocacy efforts and our communication efforts. So that white area, that's the airport right there. That white area on the left, 90,000 people in unincorporated Boone County today, 90,000. For those of you scoring at home, that would be the 3rd largest city in the state if it was a city. It's bigger than Bowling Green. And the reason I bring that up is when we're around the state, we hear from people, they will say Louisville, Lexington, and Bowling Green, but that's not the way we view it. And I don't even think that's really a fair, accurate representation. I think this is more fair for us. So that's the reason I bring it up. We have 36 police departments, 21 fire departments, 13 public school districts in the size of Lexington and Fayette County. So that's kind of the way we view it. I was in Lexington because when our business has a location there. I graduated UK. I'm in Lexington all the time. And we were going from Hamburg to the Bluegrass Airport one day. And I said, I think this is the same distance going from NKU to our airport. And it turns out that it was. It's exactly the same distance. But in our case, if you go from NKU to our airport, you cross 3 counties, 10 cities, 3 911 systems, a whole bunch of taxing districts. Like, that's who we are in Northern Kentucky. That's the setup we have. And so I just share that with people so they kind of get a sense of what we're talking about. And really, that's what the 1NKY building that we just completed is all about. We're going to be officially opening this up. We are currently working out of it. We still got the 2nd floor to get finished, but the building is basically done and occupied for the most part. You'll still hear some construction if you're in a meeting. You hear the, that's stuff going on downstairs. But the idea behind this is a symbol of Northern Kentucky needs to work together. Collaboration is what we're all about. And that's what we're known for around the state. And there's a lot to be excited about in Northern Kentucky. We have a really high quality of life and a low cost of living. Whenever we bring people in, these are the top 2 things that we show right away. We have wonderful parks and amenities, and I will submit to you all that we take them for granted all the time, in my opinion. And so part of when I'm giving these talks is to encourage everybody to leverage and take advantage of all the parks that we have and all the amenities we have. We have the largest airport in the state. We have more flights. We have more direct flights. We have lower cost flights than Louisville or Lexington, Dayton, Indianapolis, and Columbus. We are the largest, lowest cost airport in all 3 states. So I'm looking around the room and seeing some people kind of go, oh yeah, that's why I'm doing this, is just to remind everybody of all the great things that we have. This is one of them. This is a true gem. And I've traveled a lot the last number of years, visiting different cities. And from right here, you could be at the airport in less than 15 minutes, be parked, get through security, and be at the gate within 30 minutes. Try that in New York or LA or Atlanta or I mean, the amenity that we have, I think, is tremendous. And so obviously, I'm the chamber president, I'm a cheerleader, but I really do believe this. And our education, we have work to do. There is no question. We also have excellence here in Northern Kentucky. And so I'm going to talk about that here in just a little bit. Arts and culture. Again, I've got some slides here just to pull this up, so I'm gonna breeze through this part of it. This is when I was talking about the airport being the number one, just to give you some breadth and scope of all the different carriers that we have and the low-cost options that we have. If you want to fly to Tampa tomorrow morning, it's just a couple $100. If you want to go to Vegas, just a couple $100. And maybe on a particular day, it might be, $300, $400, depending on the scheme, but you're not going to see any more than that. To put that in perspective, when I got on the chamber board and we had this Delta Super Hub here, it was $900 to fly to Dallas on a Tuesday. And I remember that vividly. And we were the most expensive airport in the country back then. Today, we're ranked somewhere around 88th, I think, in expense. So when you think about that, I think Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, our MSA, our Metropolitan Statistical Area, is ranked about 33rd in size. So we're 33rd in size, but 88th in expensive airports. That's pretty tremendous. That's a great amenity for us. And it's really due to our leaders. And, we love Candace McGraw. But we've got Larry Crowder coming in now, who is the new Candace, as I refer to him. And so we've got some tremendous leaders out at the airport, which have really made a huge difference. I bring this slide up not to convince you that you should be drinking more bourbon, but because it is a wonderful addition that has happened over the last number of years. Julie Kirkpatrick at Meet NKY came up with this idea of adding Northern Kentucky to the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. There's 4 sections on the Bourbon Trail, and now Northern Kentucky is one of those 4. And so that's a great thing for our region, especially for tourism. And when you think about people coming internationally, they don't know about the Reds and they don't know about the Bengals, but they've heard of Kentucky bourbon and they have heard of the Kentucky Derby. KFC, we still get a lot of that too. But we just got a new addition to the B line, which is Wenzel Whiskey, right next to the convention center, it's right on Madison there, just a half a block from my place, so I'm there quite a bit. And it is a tremendous amenity for us to have that right here, and so I wanted to make sure we're highlighting that. These are just some of the things that when you'll hear us talking arts and sports, we've got the horse racing, we've got the Florence Yalls, and we've got the Arc, which has been a driver. You'll see, for each of these, actually, you'll see busloads of people being dropped off around the region. Down in Mainstrasse, for example, you'll see all kinds of visitors. They're here for something else, but they've heard of Mainstrasse, and so they wind up finding their way, as an example. These are just some of the things that I highlight and remind everybody. If you want to see a Broadway show, we can do that. If you want to see professional soccer, you can do that. And all within either walking distance or within a very short hop. Again, comparing us to other MSAs around the country, I'd put up our quality of life against anybody's. I'm telling you, I'm really proud of who we are and where we are. And then we just got arena football. So this is just a little side thing that we thought we'd remind everybody. Starting next spring, we're going to have arena football at NKU, which is pretty cool. That guy at the podium there is Fisher. He used to coach Tennessee Titans, if you guys remember. He is now their commissioner, and so that's why he was on hand to make that announcement. I said at Eggs and Issues, I'm coming up with all kinds of names and things for the T-shirts. My personal favorite was hey, we're the best football team, and we have the proof. Yeah, because they're the barrels. We're working on it. Okay. So anyway, I talked to Julie Kirkpatrick, and these are some of the things going on in tourism. The big thing I want people to realize is we're the number 2 area in the state for tourism. So it actually goes Louisville and then Northern Kentucky for tourism in terms of dollars that we generate from tourist activities. I think our own population doesn't realize that impact that we have financially. It's a big deal. And we've got our tourism master plan. They're in year 3 of implementation. The convention center will be entering a renovation and enhancement process. So it's 25 plus years. I've served on the convention center board. It is, as far as I know, it's the only convention center in the state that actually has been in the black. We actually have done really well as a convention center, and the impact that it's had on the economy has been pretty tremendous. And so we're going to be working on getting that facility updated as part of the overall CCR effort. And then we're talking about amateur sports. And when you look at other areas that have done really well, in Hamilton County over in Cincinnati is one of those examples where they've invested in amateur sports facilities. And you wind up bringing people from all around the country to, how many of you guys have been to those events? I know I went with my kids, whether it's volleyball, softball, basketball, you name it. Having those facilities drives economic activity, especially the times when those weekends when you don't have other things going on. So, and the real benefit for us as a population, again, quality of life boost, is that we'll get to take advantage of those amenities. These are some big things that are happening every year now. So we've got River Roots coming up. That's our big event happening this October. And then next October, Blink will come back. So the idea was that one year we'd have Blink, 1 week we'd have River Roots. We'll see how it goes, see how things progress. I will just remind everybody, Blink wasn't Blink overnight. It took a little bit of time for us to build that up. I also remind everybody that, we were at the Fort Thomas Business Council meeting, and I said, how many of you guys attended Blink? And the whole place raised their hand. I'm just curious for you guys. How many, show of hands, how many of you went to Blink or saw something at Blink over the years? So about a little over half. That economic impact's tremendous on the region. And it's also a great way for us to see the region in a different light. No, I guess pun intended. But so those events, while they may just be one-offs, you're talking about millions of people coming to our region. It's a big deal, and so we're really excited about that. The biggest for Covington is this Covington Central Riverfront. And I don't mean to belabor that point. I know the mayor's spoken on it and others have spoken on this. But it cannot be overstated, the economic impact of that project in combination with the Ovation over in Newport, in combination with the new bridge on the left, the new bridge on the right, the Riverfront Commons, which I've got another slide here. When you add it all up, you're talking about upwards of $6 billion of economic impact on a riverfront area. Again, you got to go from I realize the Brent Spence is $3 billion of that, and you got the 4th Street Bridge and the other things, but you're talking about jobs, opportunity, housing, businesses coming together. Show me another place in the country that has riverfront property that's doing the stuff that we're doing. We're talking about life-altering, lasting impact on our community, and so we're really excited. It is something that makes Northern Kentucky special. I remind everybody about the Union project that just happened with the promenade there, with the Braxton, Dewey's Pizza, all the life's necessities, ice cream and bourbon and pizza. They got graders there as well. I mentioned the Riverfront Commons, biking, walking path connecting, Ludlow, Covington, Newport, Bellevue, Dayton, all the way up to Fort Thomas, and then the Eons Park that we're talking about doing. So if you're a biker, there's a lot to look forward to in the Northern Kentucky region. Again, high quality of life. And then I just remind everybody about things like A.J. Jolly and the James Taylor Park that's coming as part of the Ovation effort. All the things that's happening in Florence and Boone County, all of it together are some of the great things happening in Northern Kentucky. And then there's our investments in entrepreneurs. And I was one of those businesses that came out of the Madison E-Zone, which became Uptech. And all that happened before Spark House. Before there was Spark House, so there were those other things. Those other things made a huge difference. And so we're putting behind Spark House a lot more than we did behind the other activities. And so I'm really excited for our entrepreneurial community. And our Chamber of Commerce, one of the things we helped lead the charge on was angel tax credits, being able to get people to take risks and invest in the startups. That investment piece is as big an issue as it is just the day-to-day support that we have to get startups going. I mentioned some of the things happening in education. That literally in each one of these schools, there are some fantastic things happening. And I'm really excited for Thomas More and the developments, the new buildings, if you've been out to Thomas More recently, it continues to get better and better. Gateway just saw record enrollment. So the highest enrollment in the school history just happened I guess this would be the fall, going back to the spring as well. Their spring was also the most highest enrollment that they've ever had. And then NKU's now has a balanced budget. They've got a whole bunch of slew of initiatives going on. I mentioned the new sports team for their arena football, so Truist will be full all year round is the idea. So really exciting times for Northern Kentucky. So overall, our economy is healthy. Our unemployment's low. Our workforce participation rate is 10 points better than the state of Kentucky and 5 points better than the national average. When we bring legislators up, as we did for Northern Kentucky United, we had an event, we brought legislators from Frankfort up here. First time I can remember we had that many. I think there was like 85 or something like that came up from Frankfort. It's got to be a record. And our message was the same to every one of them. Northern Kentucky is a good bet. We are a good investment. And so that's the message for the rest of the state. Said in basketball terms, feed the hot hand, make sure that we're getting invested, that we're seeing investments from the state in infrastructure and those kinds of things. And that's what historically businesses have said. I'm going to pull these 4 topics up just to show you. If you went back 30 years ago, if you went back 50 years ago, these would still be the same topics at a Chamber of Commerce gathering, right? Chambers of Commerce are always talking about how can we be more competitive, how can we make our region more competitive than other areas. So for example, if you hear us talking about the income tax going down, while that's less revenue from the state from one perspective, it also makes us a really attractive place, especially when we're bordering an area that has a higher income tax, as an example. Reduce government regulations. Infrastructure is always a topic. So when the chamber first came together, back in the day, our chambers of commerce talked about, hey, we need to get an east-west connector, 275. Chambers of Commerce led the charge on that, 471. Northern Kentucky University itself was a community college that they said Northern Kentucky needs its own university. And the business community helped champion that. That was some of the first issues that we talked about. I talk a lot about these days about we need hyper-local. We need the Latonia Business Association. We need the Covington Business Council, all the different business councils. If you have a city, you should have a dialogue with your mayor and your city council. We should be able to do that, and that's a necessary thing for businesses to network with one another. But it's also necessary that we have a regional approach. It's got to be both from our perspective. Said another way, you'll hear people say, well, I don't really want to be in a big group, but 2 people in a room could get more done than 100. And I do think that's true, unless you have to move a piano, right? And then you need a bunch of people. And we've got some things in our region that are heavy lifts that one city, one county cannot tackle on their own. One of those are big infrastructure projects, like the Brent Spence, which we lobbied on for 20-some years, or like 536, which we would circle as really our top issue of the day right now, getting 536 completed. And like the 4th Street Bridge, that's been a consensus committee agenda item from the Chamber of Commerce since the mid-2000s, right? And it impacts, there's 15,000 people a day go across that 4th Street Bridge. But 536, as an example, will have 100,000 people on that road. And so that is why we would circle those as kind of big, heavy lift piano type items, if you will. So what we're hearing today, number one issue for businesses is talent still. Now, you've seen some reports recently, hiring is slowing. We are seeing that anecdotally. But still, overall, if you pooled the business community, you would hear that talent attraction is still, talent in general, growing, attracting, and retaining talent are the top issues. All the things that feed into that are things that you'll hear us talking about. One of those being talent attraction. How do we message ourselves? How do we market ourselves? We are proudly part of the Visit Cincy region. We are part of Cincinnati for sure. I'm a Reds fan. I'm a Bengals fan, even though that was hard to watch yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw that. We did win, yay. But that said, we are also proud Northern Kentuckians. And so how do we find a way to message ourselves in that overall context and still drive talent to our region? We need immigration reform. That is a fact. That is something we have to tackle as a community and as a country. We've got to, and I'm not talking about illegal immigration, I'm talking about legal immigration. We have to find a way. 78% of our members want us talking about that. And why? Because we've got a talent issue. And we have our demographics are not in a positive trend for Northern Kentucky. We need to be adding population, and we're not. And so that is something that we're going to have real conversations about. Income-aligned housing, top of every issue, every list that we have has income-aligned housing, and that's a national thing. As we talk to chambers of commerce leaders from all around the country, this is not unique to our area. It is everywhere. It's in Lexington, it's in Louisville, it's in Charleston, which we visited. That was their number one overarching issue 3 years ago. Average home price at Charleston, South Carolina, was $420,000 when we were there 3 years ago. I haven't looked it up today. You can Google it and see what it is today. I'm sure it's gone up. But, this is something, we did a housing study when we came back from Charleston as a region, saw that we're 6,600 homes short of where we need to be today. And so that's why you'll hear us talking a lot about income-aligned housing. It's a big deal. But in each of these areas, because these are all challenges nationally, what it comes down to is every community is having these conversations, and the ones that figure it out, the ones that invest in it, are going to win. And we want to be on that side of the aisle here. We want to be on the winning side. Another big topic everywhere we go is childcare, and you'll hear us talking about preschool for all kids and the impact that could have on the state, but it's very tightly linked to childcare. It's not one or the other, it is both. And so you'll hear, again, our businesses talking a lot about topics that you may not have heard us talk about back in the past, but they all relate to talent. We lost a lot of people out of the workforce during the pandemic. We've got a lot of people retiring. We're not having babies at the rate that we should be having babies, or that we want to as a country. And so that is something we're going to have to figure out. For those families that do have kids, we need to support those families and find ways to make sure they can live, work, play, learn, and give back. And then I mentioned before just the challenges that we have with education. I don't want to go into the details on that, but just to say we've got some areas of Northern Kentucky doing really well and some not doing so well. And we've got to find a way to get those wraparounds around those school districts and around those students in such a way that it leads to positive outcomes. What do I mean by wraparounds? So what happened at Glen O'Swing Elementary in Covington? That's a perfect story of what I'm talking about. A kid comes in, they get breakfast, they get lunch, they get dinner at night. Families come in, parents come in and eat with the kids. After school, they get a mentor, they get a fun activity. They're working with the Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA, Free Store Food Bank. They get all of these things. So by the time they go home, they've been fed, their homework is done, they've had a great experience. That transformed that school. Those wraparounds that I'm talking about transformed the school. And they were one of the worst elementary schools in Northern Kentucky, transformed into one of the best. And I haven't seen the recent rankings, but that was just one of those examples where you can turn around school districts by investing in those wraparounds. So those are all some of the topics that we're talking about. I wanted to highlight the Ensweiler Institute here. When we've been talking about housing and the challenges of housing, we don't have enough people in the trades. It's a real problem. And I would submit to you as an IT guy, we don't have enough in cybersecurity. We don't have enough in manufacturing. There are shortages all over the place, but we cannot build more homes if we don't have more people that are trained to do it. So plumbers, electricians, construction workers, all of that is stuff we need. And that's why things like the Ensweiler Institute is so important. I'm also a big believer in the Northern Kentucky Works effort, which is a regional effort to try to support all the different things that are happening in workforce and coordinate those efforts in the region. They hit every level of workforce, everything from early childhood to work-ready adults, to helping businesses be better businesses and change the employer practices when appropriate. So these are all kinds of things that are going on at NKY Works. I put this up here in case anybody was interested in being a part of that. I will say on this slide here, though, the one thing I wanted to mention in particular was if I could wave a magic wand, every single business in Northern Kentucky, big business, small businesses, would always have an internship, apprenticeship, somebody either from a high school or from the local university or community college. You just always have a steady stream coming through, working with your company or organization. If we could pull that off, that would be transformational from our region. And work-based learning for me there is a benefit to just working. Like just when you're a high school student and you get a job, it changes how you look at your future career options, teaches you how to experience life. Back in the day when I was growing up, everybody worked in high school. I don't know how you guys were, but today it's down to 38%. This is according to Janet Hare at NKU. 38% of kids are now working. That's down 20 percentage points in a decade. And I get it. A lot of parents are saying, hey, you got all day for band practice, you got the school play, you've got all these other activities, which we also value, right? Teach teamwork and experience, so forth. But we've got to get working families and our businesses back to that mindset of work is good in and of itself, just for the experience of it. And if I could, again, wave a magic wand, I would expose folks to careers so that they would know, hey, this is actually something I could do, construction or plumbing or electrical work. In the IT field, 60% of female students in high school have an aptitude for cybersecurity. 60% have an aptitude. 0% have an interest. And had we not done that study, I wouldn't even know that statistic. I was on the floor when I saw that statistic. These are six-figure jobs, and we got half the population who doesn't even want to look at it. And that's a problem. And so that's part of why we want to have work-based learning, part of why these programs matter to our community, because otherwise we wouldn't know, and as businesses, we wouldn't know how to adapt. So I put this up here. I know I'm getting short on time, so I want to make sure I'm on track here. When we did our housing study, we identified about 50 different things that cities, counties, local municipalities could do to improve housing in their community. We felt like 50 was while it's good to have options, and that was why we did it. The chamber thought it would be helpful to narrow that down to 3 or 4 key areas. One of those that we believe would really help Northern Kentucky is a housing fund that could be used with developers regionally to increase housing stock. Perfect example, Catalytic Fund in Northern Kentucky took an old apartment building, not an apartment building, took an old abandoned building in Dayton, turned it into apartments. Tony Christian's in Covington, very similar thing with Orleans. They took an old abandoned warehouses, they weren't doing anything, turned them into beautiful condos, right, if you know where Golden Gelato is, if you guys have been there. Same kind of thing. Being able to work with the local cities to be able to say, hey, we'll cover the cost for developers to, and I'm getting this wrong, Mayor, so you may have to help me, but like to determine offset from a street, to be able to determine whether or not this building needs to be demolished or whether or not it can be saved, all that kind of stuff, that pre-work. Maybe a fund like that could cover the costs of that pre-work for a city or county. Maybe there's, what are some things that fund could be used for? That is what we're wanting to have real conversations about. Very similarly, how do we get more people into the trades? How do we spread that word? How do we get in the high schools and the elementary schools in some cases and convince families to take a look at some different careers? So workforce is a top issue. That middle housing also. So there's a lot of homes that, for example, have a detached garage. They got a detached garage on their property, and they've got an aging parent. Maybe they can turn that detached garage into an apartment for the aging parent. Will the zoning law support that? Can they actually legally do that on their property, as an example? Or for families that have kids that are coming back from college and they can't find a place to live, could they change their current property to allow that? That's the kind of stuff that we're talking about in the missing middle, turning a single family home into a duplex, quadplex, and so forth. So we want people thinking about that. I served on a planning commission for 6 years. It never occurred to me that there were other planning commissions right around me in the same county that might have a different perspective, different take on how we were doing things. And so again, a regional perspective, a regional effort around that, I think is definitely a conversation worth having. And then what are things that employers could do? in the housing situation. So today, if you work at our company for a certain amount of time, we can reimburse you for your tuition, cover your tuition costs for ongoing training. What if we gave you help with your down payment for your home? Is that such a leap? Or I know we were talking to some businesses about where they just cover the cost of housing. They've got an apartment, they'll cover the cost for that apartment along with the health insurance and the tuition reimbursement. It's a different way of providing compensation for employees. So there are all kinds of conversations about what businesses could do to overcome some of the housing challenges. So I want to just make you aware of some of these conversations that are happening. So from our standpoint, some keys to our collective future: talent attraction, housing, how we address the education challenges we have, fighting through these infrastructure issues. There's no way to sugarcoat this. It's going to be painful in Northern Kentucky for a little bit. We're going to go through a little bit of pain. It seems like there's always traffic. My friends come up from around the other places around the state or around from parts of the country, and traffic jumps out at you right away sometimes, right? When you're coming from the airport, as an example. I think we're going to do our best to mitigate it as a community, I have no doubt, but we're going to go through some pain. And so we're going to have to find ways to proactively support those businesses that are negatively impacted, help those individuals who are negatively impacted by some of the disruptions that are going to occur. And we're committed to doing that. I mean, this isn't the first crisis we've had. I'm not going to call it a crisis. I'm going to call it a real opportunity. We've got to step up and find a way to get these things built so that our quality of life will continue to improve. But it's going to be a hassle. We've got to find ways to continue to support our arts and culture. It is something that makes us special. I mentioned Blink just briefly, but when you look at all the murals, all the other things, all the wonderful things happening here in Latonia, we've got to find ways to support those things. And things like the Halloween Bash. It's a little thing, but it's a big thing, bringing the community together. Community health. I don't want to lose sight of this. It is something that we bring up on a regular basis. You'll hear us say over and over, good health is good business. Northern Kentucky has come a long way. Our infant mortality rate isn't where it should be, in my opinion. That's how you measure a health system, one of the ways that you measure a health system. There are all kinds of things from a community health standpoint where I think we could improve. But that said, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that we have improved over the last number of years. So want to bring that up. I'm a strong believer that regional thinking is something that we have to incorporate into all that we do. Again, kudos to your mayor, to your leadership. I think they have done a great job of that. And so you can tackle things within your city, but still recognize that there's still some pianos to move. And then lastly, how do we maintain the good? How do we continue all this development and growth, which we need, which our community does need, and still not lose sight of all the good stuff that we have? How do we keep the good and still continue to grow? That's going to be our challenge over the coming 5 years. So 5 years from now, by 2030, we're going to have, I hope, I'm going to knock on wood here, new bridge, new Brent Spence. We're going to have a new 4th Street bridge. The CCR won't be all done then, right? It's probably not going to be in 5 years. But look what's already been accomplished in a very short amount of time if you've driven by it recently. We're going to continue to see that improve. You're going to see new flights. You're going to see new advances, things like the Eons Park, all of that, some great stuff to rally around and be proud of. But it's going to take us 5 years to get there. And so how do we get through that development period without letting the wheels fall off? That's the challenge for Northern Kentucky. And we're up for that challenge. I'm really excited about where we're headed. I'm really glad about the leaders that we have in place, and I think it's an exciting time to be in Northern Kentucky. So thank you for letting me rattle off my thoughts on the state of Northern Kentucky. I will just shut up now, and I'll answer any questions that you have. Is that okay, Pat? That's fine, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so shorter answer is I believe we have, and certainly through the Northern Kentucky Works, that is something that we we can and should do on a regular basis. And I know they do the job fairs and so forth. I'm not in the weeds on that. I'm actually officially off the Workforce Investment Board. I chaired it once, served 2 terms, and so I'm not in the weeds on that day to day, but I think they do that. And if they don't, they should, so I'll bring it up. Other questions? Yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions? So Brent, what do you see with the tariffs and tariffs and tariffs and tariffs?
I hadn't heard of that. What is that?
Yes, I hear that.
So we,
I know with bourbon, I know that's something
Yeah.
that's, you know.
so we surveyed our members. 3 out of every 4 of our members are anti-tariff. Chambers of Commerce nationally, I would say it's not a universal truth, but almost a universal truth. We're in general, we're free trade. We don't like tariffs of any kind. Tariffs are taxes. I know everybody's heard that probably ad nauseum the last number of months, but it is true. I mean, it's these tariffs are paid for by the companies, and those costs are passed on to our customers. Our company is in the same situation. We buy IT equipment, have to resell it. That IT equipment gets inflated cost, and we pass that on to the customers. So, yeah, it's had a real impact on the economy thus far. I will say, look, Northern Kentucky, we make things and we move things. That's what we do. And tariffs, there are some companies, I've talked to a number of chamber member presidents, where they said, look, we planned for it, we were able to buy and source locally, it's not a problem. But again, I would say probably the number 3 out of 4 is about right, where they have been negatively hit. And it's the way it's been rolled out too. I always tell people businesses want 3 things. They want things to be fair, they want things to be simple, and they want things to be predictable. Fair, simple, and predictable. But if they had to choose, they would choose predictable. They can deal with the tariffs if they know they're coming and they know how much they're going to be. That has not played out so far. And it's been a roller coaster of planning and then changing and then planning and changing. And so once the stability hits, I think the economy will do better. But the first part of the year, while we've done fine, Northern Kentucky has done fine. The state of the Northern Kentucky economy is good on the whole. But it's clearly held us back a little bit this year. I don't know if you guys are seeing that, but we saw a lot of projects get on hold until this got figured out. And so we thought this was going to be a banner year, and it has just been okay. You know, I give us okay to good, but it sure as heck hasn't been great. And so we expect that once the tariffs and the predictability come back, things will become great again. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Did you say become greater?
It was a bad choice of words, but
I didn't know you did it on purpose.
yeah, no, yeah, that was a total flip on my part. Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. But yeah, you know, we survey our members regularly. I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, I brought up the talk about immigration. Our country has to figure that out. And we have to figure out how we're going to tariff and how we're going to do things and do it in such a way that is fair, simple, and predictable. And so that is the message. And that's what our members want us to be talking about as we're having conversations, especially in DC. And we're going to announce the annual dinner. We got our annual dinner coming up in a few weeks, and we're gonna talk more about that approach and how we're gonna advocate.
Well, thank you very much for coming to Latonia.
Thank you, Pat.
Appreciate it. And I know, like I mentioned before, it's just, you know, the LBA has been around for a long, long time, and we appreciate having people like you to come down and speak to us. So,
Yeah. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Let's see, block clearing recovered. The Latonia Uptown meeting is next Thursday? Next Thursday at the Roost. Pat, John, anything from the city of Covington? Ron, anything from the city of Covington update?
I just want to say we have, with our rent subsidy program, we've supported a new business coming to Latonia, Dirty Dogs and Rough Cuts. The Dirty Dog, it's a dog grooming place over on Union Street, so just north of Riddy's Corner on DeCourcy there. Secondly, Rosedale Green. It's a senior living facility here in Latonia. They are 1 year agency free. What does that mean? Basically, they're not using a staffing agency to hire folks. They're investing in their employees. And so we're working with the mayor to recognize them here soon, and that's my update.
Thank you very much. Split the pot,
$20.
$20. Yeah. Paul? You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. And our next meeting is October 13th. Darlene Plummer, Property Valuation Administrator of Kenton County, will be our guest. So, anybody got anything else today? Well,
Real quick, I'll
Yeah,
buy
go ahead.
2 minutes of talking.
Go ahead.
Can I split the pop? Just from the library side, there's a couple things, small business and entrepreneur basis. There's a flyer on each table there. So I know Linda, I think, probably spoke to at the last meeting, but a couple things coming up, just because we are working very close with the chamber on a lot of stuff in that too. So definitely involved in that workforce stuff. So there's always things that we can do to help out. So if we're not doing it, reach out to us and we'll see if we're part of the solution. Also, business-wise, I'm going to have 4 notaries online here pretty soon at the library. So if anybody has a need for public notary service here in the area, they're going to be trained up hopefully tomorrow, and they just took their oaths. So we'll have that option here that'll be a little bit more convenient for everybody here, because that sometimes is getting harder to find. And if you've got a bunch of stuff you're trying to get rid of at home, we're going to do a free community yard swap at the library coming up on Saturday, the 26th. So it'll be kind of not a yard sale, it'll be a yard swap. So Friday drop off, early Saturday morning drop off. I didn't bring any flyers because I was focused on workforce today. But so if you're cleaning things out or want to get rid of something and get it to somebody else in the community who might benefit from it, that's what the library is going to try to do, is to kind of get some things into other people's hands that may help out who can't afford to buy it right now, or just
what kind of items are you
prevents it
referring
from
to?
going to landfill.
What kind of
Pretty much
items?
anything household goods.
Okay.
Clothing-wise, we're trying to restrict it to just kids' sizes items, just to keep it more kid-friendly. But toys, sporting goods, any sort of things that would be more just keeping out of a landfill if it looks like it has a life left in it, that we can give it to somebody else. But
What is the drop-off date again?
so Friday 1 to 5, and then Saturday morning 8 to 10, and then we'll have the sale running 10 to 2 for a swap. I keep getting that bringing stuff. But that's free. You see the library card
Yeah.
to take something with you is kind of our only caveat. So just to try to encourage people to get in the library and go home with something that can help with whatever. So anything from furniture to pots and pans to anything that may kind of have a lot. I've cleaned up quite a bit from my house as a result. So it's been good for that. But yeah, get with me if you have any more details, or I'll send a flyer. I'm sure we'll have something up on our Facebook page soon. Yeah.
I'll piggyback a little bit on his small business entrepreneur portion of it. Sort of part of the afternoon session, but if you're looking for this and going in, this is a great event for any small business or anyone looking for entrepreneurship. They're going to cover a lot regarding intellectual property, what that means, how to protect yourself on that side of it, patents, trademarks. They kind of dig a little bit deeper into what you're looking in is when you're looking for your small business and going through. They've got a panel in the morning session that comes in from, I think it's 9:15 to 11:30. Then there's a free lunch as well, and then there's an afternoon session that goes from 1 to 4. So you can even, if you attend one, you don't have to attend both. You can look and see the little links that are on here. Will tell you what those sessions mean, who their moderators are, who the panelists are. They're going to be speaking with it as well, and you can sign up for the free lunch while you're also at it. It's in earlier because the Covington location and the Latonia location were not large enough for it. That's the only reason. Yeah.
Anything else? Yep.
All right, Friday, October 3rd, we have quarter auction going on. It's a county auction team that's actually putting on their auction. They're just using our place, our facility. Doors open at 6. Whether you love them or hate them, we can all agree there's too many cats around here. But they're not ones that go out and feed colonies. They trap, they neuter. If they can possibly place them, they get them in a placement. So it's a little bit different than just the ones that go out and feed the colonies. I stress that. On October 11th, Saturday, October 11th, we're having our first annual craft fair. And this will be benefiting Special Olympics. So come on by and check out some really cool stuff that people are crafting these days and buy something from them. So
Where's it going to be, Lori?
that's going to be at the American Legion.
Well, thanks everybody for coming. Brent, we appreciate you coming down. Thanks, and it's after 1, but we're done. Thank you.
Don't forget to keep your block party flyers. Yes, put that in the block party.